Good Friday, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Well, actually, it's noon here, 12:22 for me, and it's August 21st, 2020. It's a Good Friday, and I came across this article, and it was inside the article that I brought to you called The Sting. Remember? A lot of people said, well, it'd be nice if you left the link. Well, I did. I left the link in the description box. And so that I thought I'd better just put a post out and put that link out there so people could just go back and quickly find that link. So, this is called The Inside Story, The Bush Gang and Barrick Gold Corporation. But before we get into that, I would like to read from God Calling, August the 21st. Broken Voices is the title. Behold, I make all things new. It is only the earthbound spirit that cannot soar. Every blessing I send you, every joy, every freedom achieved from poverty and worry will loosen a strand that ties you to earth. It is only those strands that bind you. Therefore, your freedom will mean you are rising into the realm of joy and appreciation. Clipped wings can grow again. Broken voices regain a strength and beauty unknown before. Your power to help other lives will soon bring its delight, even when at first the help to yourselves may seem too late to bring you joy. Worn out and tired as you may seem, and pain-weary, I say unto you, behold, I make all things new. That promise shall be fulfilled, and tenderly across the years, yet tenderly close and near to your tired, noisy, weary ears, I speak to you, my loved ones, today. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That's why I tell you, the closer you get to God, the higher up you rise, and you're more tied to Him and His awareness. You're more in tune with where He's at. And it gets to the point where you don't need for nothing because He provides. But it's letting go. It's allowing your faith to take over. You know, remember how I was telling you the other day that, you know, just like with our fathers, we always felt safe with them. I know those of us that were blessed enough to have a father around. But those fathers, you know, I remember back in my day, but then it was the good old days. I loved the 50s, you know. Things were different back then. But you always felt safe and secure. You always knew you had a roof over your head. You always knew you had food in your mouth. You had clothes on your back. You went to school. You went to church. Everybody played together. No one hated each other. At least they didn't where I grew up. I was just very blessed, I guess. But those are the things that He's conveying in His Word, is that the closer you get to Him, the less you're bound to this earth. Remember, like I told you, I'm up there. I'm up in more in the fourth or the fifth dimension level. It's only when I have to come down to earth for things like my car, getting that fixed and everything, because I got to get it registered. I got to take it in again today to go get it looked again to make sure that that stupid little light doesn't come on, that, what do they call that? The engine light. And so once they remove that, I got to go take it to get it smogged. And then once it's smogged, then I got to go to DMV and get it registered. And so, yeah, that's a whole day's excursions. But that's what I was telling you, that those are the only times that I come down. Otherwise, I'm always in a higher realm. I'm always happy, and I don't see things in the same manner, I guess, as people do. We know there's bad things going on, but you don't have to be stuck in the negative, you know. Keep yourself in the positive, and talk to God constantly, all day long. Just, you know, He's your friend. I mean, with goodness, He created you, and you can talk directly to Him. You know, that's one of those things that bug me about Catholic Church. oh, you can't talk to God. You got to go through the priest. You got to tell him your sins. And in my age, I thought, that's bull crap. Because all he's going to do, because I thought, you know what, I'm going to tell him the same thing every time. And I did, every Saturday. And I got, whatever penance that he gave me. 2 Hail Marys, saying Our Father, and don't do it again. And I thought, how pitiful, how disgusting. You're not going to keep me from somebody that I want to talk to. And I knew that early in my age. Don't ask me why, but I did. And, so yeah, I went through the motions of going to church and everything out of respect because I loved him. And I used to love the formal mass. And I really enjoyed when I was learning Latin. And then as soon as I learned Latin, boom, they took it away and they put us all back on English. So, I just wanted to share that prayer with you because it's very profound. And it's in simplicity, right? There's the answer, faith. Boom. That's all you need. The rest you don't have to worry about, but we do have to pray. If we can see the movie passing us by, why can't we pray for those that are in the movie? Or those that believe in the movie, right? Those are the ones that are still sleeping. Those of us that are awake, we've known this 4 years ago. Sometimes even back. I knew a lot of things going on back in when I was 11 years old. That was back in the 50s. And I woke up. And I knew then and there that my beautiful country, who had a great military, was allowing this to happen to my president. Because that's not how we were taught. We were taught to have trust and faith. We have trust and faith in God. Then we have trust and faith in the ones that are protecting us, right? At least that's how I was brought up. So anyway, that's why I say keep your emotions out of it. Remove it from the equation. You have to have love and confidence and faith and pride. And especially you have to have compassion. Because it's with that compassion brings us to pray. And we got to pray for those children. We got to pray because they're still being preyed on. Get it? We can't stop. We can't let our capes down. So you got to stay armored up every day. And every day you got to get better and stronger. And if you're not talking to God, then you're not in with the program. Because without him, you're nothing. At least I know that for myself. So I can only speak from my heart. Okay, enough of that. Let's go to the inside story, the Bush Gang and Barrick Gold Corporation. This article was written by Anton Chaikin. Well, Barrick Gold, caught scrambling for loot amid the corpses in Zaire, is a corporate front for the George Bush allied covert political apparatus. And the Canada-based Barrick is Bush's only known current business enterprise. The company, which Bush now personally leads, was created by Bush's political partners, the British elite narcotics, financiers, and arms traffickers and money launderers. Well, using the influence of this political faction, Barrick acquired important interests, first in the United States, then in Canada and South America. Well, in South America, as Barrick boasts in his 1995 annual report, the company has an aggressive long-term approach with mines and projects established in strategic locations in Argentina, Chile, Peru, Bolivia, and Brazil. Almost 2/3 of the exploration and development drilling budget will be spent in South America, where the company has decided to focus its efforts. The annual report states, well, in addition, which its intended conquests in Indonesia and Africa, The firm now says it aims to move from third to first among the world's largest gold mining companies. We present here the results of the EIR's 2 investigation of the Bush Company, centering on the following principal figures. George Herbert Walker Bush, whose father was a partner in the powerful London-controlled private banking firm Brown Brothers Harriman. Relevant to the Barrick story, Bush was the U.S. Vice President and Chief of Covert Operations in the Reagan-Bush 1981-89 administration, and U.S. President 1989 to 1993. And as a former president and power broker, Bush is Barrick Gold Corporation's chief lobbyist, a stockholder in Barrick, an honorary senior advisor to Barrick's International Advisory Board. Well, Adnan Khashoggi, a Bush ally, Saudi billionaire and arms trafficker, founder of the Barrick Gold Corporation, famous for his illegal weapons sales to Iran. Peter Monk, the business failure who became a protege of the British royal family and Khashoggi's partner, and Monk is chairman of the Barrick Gold Corporation. Isn't that interesting? And Brian Mulroney, he's a Canadian Prime Minister from 1984 to 93, and he was George Bush's errand boy. Now, Barrick Gold lobbyist and director, Bush's lieutenant on the Barrick International Advisory Board. Barrick Gold was founded in Toronto, Canada in 1983. Wow, does that go around the world or what? The majority investment in the firm was held by Khashoggi and his arms trafficking partners, who were just then gearing up the Iran, Israel, Nicaragua guns and cocaine tangle, which would explode in 1986 as the Iran-Contra scandal. The nominal chief of Barrick Gold was Peter Monk, a Hungarian Jewish immigrant who had repeatedly died as a businessman, and only to be repeatedly revived by princesses and principalities. Now, this much of Monk's story is before the public in a biography that was written and published with Monk's support, entitled Peter Monk, The Making of a Modern Tycoon by Donald Rumball, Toronto, Stoddart Publishing Company, 1996. It vaguely describes Monk's public disgrace, his self-exile in London, and his sudden rise to near billionaire status, ending with Monk's invitation to George Bush to become honorary senior advisor to the board, created in May of 1995. Boom. The Clairton heist. Well, Peter Monk first became notorious in Canada in the late 1960s as the beneficiary in an insider trading scandal. Monk and a partner named David Gilmore owned an audio equipment manufacturing company that had been heavily subsidized by the province of Nova Scotia. Monk and Gilmore quietly dumped 29,000 shares of Clairton stock in 1967, just before publication of the company's financial report tipped off other investors that the company was failing, and after Monk sold at $9 per share, the stock plunged to $1. Dr. Morton Schulman, a member of the Legislative Assembly of the province of Ontario, asked government representatives if Monk would escape with his money and no legal consequences. You can look at that in the Ontario Legislative Library Record of Ontario Provincial Parliamentary Debate on June 3, 1969. The Ontario Minister of Financial and Commercial Affairs, H.I. Rowntree, responded that a court had been requested to H.I. Rowntree, had been requested to order the Ontario Securities Commission to commence an action in connection with Monk's Clairtone Sound Company for an action in the name of the company for the accounting of profits allegedly made by him by reason of the improper use of inside information. But there was no government action, and Monk would indeed escape. Here he is right here. A Clairtone stockholder named John Adams, who had lost about $5,500, had filed a legal action against Monk. Monk hired attorney Charles Durbin, whom Shulman described as a lawyer who acts for the Conservative Party, where whenever there is an embarrassment to be covered up, he is amazingly good at covering up conservative scandals. And Charles Durbin knew exactly how to go about subverting the law in this case. Shulman reported that Monk's attorney gave Adams $35,000 as a settlement on Adams' agreement not to make the case public. Then the lawyer for Adams and Charles Durbin went into the judge's chambers, how wonderful, and requested that the judge to remove the papers from the registrar's office and keep them in his own private chambers, which the judge did. Boom, boom. See how they all connive with each other? It's so disgusting. Okay, Charles Durbin, Monk's inventive attorney, the fixer for Mulroney's Conservative Party, became Ontario's Chief Justice and only recently retired. They all play the game. The disappearance of legal papers in the Monk case discouraged other stockholders after going after Monk, but the resulting scandal made him a pariah in Canada, and Monk moved to London to start a new life. January 3rd, 1997. Here's the old Monk here. Permission denied. A Canadian literary agency, Westwood Creative Artists, controls the United States rights to the approved biography of Peter Monk. Peter Monk, The Making of a Modern Tycoon, EIR, contacted Westwood and requested permission to reprint 2 photographs from the book. The agency reported to EIR, however, that Barrick Gold Corporation owned the photographs in the book and that Barrick had specified that EIR was denied permission to reproduce the photographs. An agency spokesman told EIR that it was highly unusual that a specific publication would be singled out for such a denial of permission. And the photographs in question show the Barrick International Advisory Board with George Bush, Brian Mulroney, and Peter Monk in the front of the group, and Adnan Khashoggi posing with Monk at the Toronto Stock Exchange in 1982. Right in the book cover of the Monk biography with a photo of Peter Monk. So they didn't want it to be exposed, so that's why they say, I don't think so. We're not letting this get out. Weasels. Dope Incorporated puts Monk back together. The sister of Monk's partner, David Gilmour, had married one of the Vansittart, a family high in the Anglo-Dutch aristocracy. Monk's approved biography reports that this Vansittart activated the formidable Sir Henry Keswick, who made arrangements to lift Monk into a new career. Keswick's family, merchant banking firm Jardine Matheson, had long been the British Empire's leading, out in the open organizer. Now, Jardine Matheson made Monk the chief executive of a Bahamas registered hotel corporation called Southern Pacific Properties, SPP, with Jardine money and Jardine's chief executive David Newbigging as a director. Then Jardine's historical dope partner, the Peninsular and Oriental Steam Navigation Company, P&O, joined the Monk enterprise, and P&O's Lord Geddes himself joined Newbigging on the Monk SPP board in future years as Monk rose to world prominence in the gold business. the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, and the Royal Bank of Canada, too. Dope Incorporated. Financial agencies would provide credit in the billions of dollars for Monk's expansion. Monk SPP became a giant hotel owner in Australia and the South Pacific Islands and seized control of the Travelodge chain. Monk's rise in Australia was aided by his lifelong close association with fellow Hungarian émigré Sir Peter Abeles, Australia's transport mogul. Monk's stepfather had been secretary and assistant to Abeles' father in Vienna in the late 1940s. Abeles is reportedly known in Europe as the White Knight, in reference both to his British knighthood and his reported large role in the cocaine trade. Jonathan Whitney, in The Crimes of Patriots, New York, W. W. Norton, 1987, reports that after Abeles encountered labor union problems in his American businesses, Abeles gave to gangster associates of the most powerful mafia leader in the United States a 20% stake in his U.S. operations, and his partners were indicted for hiding his payments, but Abeles refused to come to America to testify and charges were dropped. How convenient. Khashoggi, Barrick, and the Ayatollahs. In the 1974, Monk signed an investment partnership agreement with arms trafficking billionaire Adnan Khashoggi of Saudi Arabia. And according to Monk's approved biography, the new alliance was cemented when Monk and Khashoggi were summoned to the London headquarters of Peninsular and Orient. P&O's hereditary boss was Lord Inchcape, whose predecessor in the 1920s was also Lord Inchcape, had directed Britain's India Commission to continue the empire's opium production. Monk later told his biographer that he was nervous that Khashoggi was late and perhaps the P&O directors wouldn't wait for us and it would seriously harm the relationship. It was already remarkable that they should have a Jew and an Arab together in their dining room, but the mighty Lord Inchcape convinced Khashoggi to plunge in, and Khashoggi now provided most of the cash for the Monk enterprise. Amazing. Since this arrangement was sealed back in the 1970s, Monk has grown in favor as London's creature. He became a regular skiing partner of Prince Charles, who recently attended the opening of a Monk speculative real estate venture. It was a factory outlet mall in Germany. And Monk is a member of the Elite 1001 Club, co-founded by Prince Philip, a worldwide grouping of aristocrats, bankers, and speculators who support Credit and Commerce International to launder money for Iran arms sales. Barrick Gold Corporation co-founder Kamal Adham was later persecuted for fraud in the BCCI case and paid a $100 million fine. Khashoggi's Saudi royal piggy banks also underwrote George Bush's Central American Contras adventures, making payments through the Swiss bank corporations and a Cayman Islands bank totaling about $27 million. When the Iran and Contra scandals blew up in 1986, the United States Attorney General Edwin Meese linked the two scandals in a November 25 public revelation. The next day, Monk announced a shareholders meeting to decide on an urgent... Okay, I'm going to have to redo that one. When the Iran and Contra scandals blew up in 1986, U.S. Attorney General Edwin Meese linked the two scandals in a November 25 public revelation. The next day, Monk announced a shareholders meeting to decide on an urgent restructuring plan. A new organization emerged, keeping the Khashoggi group in control, but easing Khashoggi out of the limelight and making Monk the sole public figurehead. Personnel were shifted into the Canada organization out of Khashoggi's triad operations in Utah. My gosh, they're covering the globe, aren't they? Tariq Qadri, Khashoggi's longtime attorney, was made president of the Horsham holding company that was put over Barrack. As the U.S. Congress took up arms for drugs investigation and other trails leading to Vice President Bush, Khashoggi became too hot for the Canadian partnership, and the Khashoggi Group shares were officially sold off. So they used Khashoggi's money, and then they took him out. Khashoggi was himself arrested in 1989 in a fraud case involving the Philippines Marcos regime. Taken from Switzerland and jailed in New York, Khashoggi was bailed out with a $4 million check from his partner, Peter Monk. It's like a little hamster in a cage, the revolving door. They go in, they come out. Bush cashes his gold chips. So in 1986-87, at the height of the Iran-Contra controversy, the Barrick Gold Corporation acquired the Gold Strike property in Nevada for $63 million. Hello! Oh my God. They're everywhere. I gotta read that again. Bush cashes his gold chips. In 1986-87, at the height of the Iran-Contra controversy, the Barrick Gold Corporation acquired the Gold Strike property in Nevada for $63 million. The land, proving to hold $10 billion in gold, was the property of the U.S. government. Bush was elected president in 1988, and his administration put through a special dispensation applied only to Barrick Gold Corporation to speed up the normal procedures for a mining company to take official title or the patent to the land. And with the Bush Gold Strike intervention, Barrick Gold shot up from insignificance to world power status, and Bush himself climbed on board. Isn't that amazing? So Bush told the American public in an interview in the December 1st, 1996 Parade Magazine's Sunday Supplement, "I don't join boards of directors, and I don't go into business deals." Yet, on September the 17th, 1996, less than 3 months earlier, Bush had flown into Elko, Nevada on a Barrick corporate jet. Now, people, if you don't know where Elko, Nevada is, it's way out in BFE in the corner. It's the northeast corner of Nevada. I had to get over there with a six-seater when I worked for the government. Either that or you're traveling for a day or two to get there. There's nothing around except for that great big, they've got a prison system out there. I had to go out there one time to go and check out the Americans with Disabilities applications for that particular prison, so that I had to handle that job. So I went with my boss because I wasn't about to go by myself. Okay, so then he met with Barrick's directors. Speaking to an audience gathered to honor his presence at the mine, Bush said, "There is no such thing as an imperial formal ex-presidency. We must go back and live like the rest of you." Oh, please. President Bush's ambassador to Canada in 1989 and 92, Edward N. Ney, had been for many years a Bush political operative and an international coordinator of Bush's privatized intelligence activities. In 1992, Ney quit as an ambassador and became a director of the Barrick Gold Corporation. The following year, Brian Mulroney resigned as Canadian Prime Minister, and Mulroney was the most unpopular Canadian politician. But in power, he had directly aided Barrick's international ventures and had worked closely with Bush to force through free trade agreements. Monk immediately hired the former Prime Ministers as a Barrick step and fetch it. The approved biography explains Monk's point of view. Mulroney was the unhappy lightning rod for the angst of a whole nation, in office and out. Monk was well aware of those feelings toward his new recruit, and after 9 years trotting around the world to meet world leaders, he had incomparable access to presidents and prime ministers in all the key spots. And Mulroney arranged the necessary access to the key decision makers, Monk was starting to salivate at the prospect of an inside track into the huge Chinese territory. Mulroney has been paid over $300,000 per year by Barrick. Barrick announced in May 1995 that a new international advisory board was being assembled under the leadership of honorary senior advisor George Bush, the former U.S. president, who, like Mulroney, had recently lost his job at the hands of the voters. And on November 27, 1996, the French newspaper Le Monde leaked the news that Barrick had been granted a concession to prospect for gold in Zaire, a lead which prompted the present EIR Barrick investigation. Canadian newspapers that same day reported that Barrick Gold had convinced the government of Indonesia to award to Barrick control over the world's largest gold find, and that George Bush and Brian Mulroney had personally done the heavy lobbying to accomplish this. My. The Indonesia deal is indeed startling. The small Canadian mining company Brax Minerals Limited has intended to develop the Busang gold mine on East Kalimantan. Suddenly, the government announced that it demanded that Barrick Gold Corporation be cut in a 75% ownership stake in the mine, which is estimated to hold 57 million ounces of gold with a current estimated value of over $20 billion. EIR contacted Placer Dome Inc., a rival company which had been hiding for the right to develop a share of the Busang mine. A Placer Dome spokesman would make no comment on Barrick Gold, saying only of his own firm, "We are a gold mining company, not a political organization." The U.S. Republican Party, of course, has been attempting to use President Clinton's fundraising relationship with Indonesia supporters as a scandal to break the president. Former President Bush, meanwhile, has been reportedly telling world leaders privately that the Clinton presidency is destroyed, that his son, Texas Governor George W. Bush, will be the next president, reviving the Bush dynasty, and that therefore leaders would be smart to work with him now. Of course they do. George Bush's $10 billion giveaway to Barrick Gold by Mark Sonnenblink. In 1985-86, Barrick Gold Corporation paid two other mining companies $63 million for a small working Nevada mine called Goldstrike. Within a few years, it was found to contain 24.6 million ounces of gold, worth about $10 billion. Goldstrike was on federal property under existing legislation designed in 1872 to populate and bring development to the West. Miners could operate on federal land for free once they had filed a claim. Now, they could obtain full legal title to the land at $5 an acre upon completion of a long and expensive process called patenting. In 1992, however, pressure was building for a new mining law to require that those giving federal properties pay a royalty, a certain percentage of what they mine each year. And as expected, when the Clinton administration took office in 1993, it sought a 12.5 royalty, and at that rate, the 25 major mine claims, then in the process of being privatized, would eventually yield an estimated $10.75 billion to the United States Treasury. Mining companies caused a major scam at the Bureau of Land Management as they rushed to obtain patents before Congress applied royalties. By 1992, the long waiting line at the BLM Nevada office made it doubtful that many mines would get over the critical hurdle in the patent process in time. It would normally take several years of a mine of Goldstrike size and complexity to complete the process. A BLM source commented, and the average during the previous 4-year period was 10.3 months, but Barrick made it only 4.8 months. And Barrick filed its applications for 1,144 acres of land in March and April in 1992. That summer, a pilot program for expediting processing of Nevada patents was instituted by BLM chief Delos Cy Jameson, a Republican who had been appointed to that post by President George Bush in 1989. Jameson concocted this speed-up procedure with the BLM Nevada State Director without informing its own staff. And bells went off in my head when I heard about it, a former BLM staffer told EIR. Philip M. Hawker, president of the Mineral Policy Center and environmentalist outfit, testified to a congressional subcommittee on March 11, 1993, under a new and unpublicized pilot project. The BLM allowed Barrick to hire outside. And then that shows you how they put their buddies into these positions and how they just, all work together. Well, they sure funneled that one over to Bush, didn't they? Through Barrick Gold. Wow. Okay, so that's what I have for you on that. And I found that on the QM.news, right in the same article where I was telling you about the sting. So sometimes articles are good to find because they provide you with a lot of internal information that you wouldn't see or think of. So that's the story of Peter Munk, The Making of a Modern Tycoon, by Donald Rumball, Rumball. So I went to one of my groups today, and I'm finding a plethora of information that is very interesting. I think you'll love it. It says, Lincoln Kennedy Clooney family are the descendants from the Druze. They were not Muslims, they were not Christians, they were not Jewish. They practiced them all in one. They are an ethnic minority. Please watch the 3 short videos of the Jesus Strand, A Search for DNA, History Channel, air date 16 April 2017. So you should be able to go and Google that and you'll be able to find those videos. Now, for the first time in history, using the latest advances in DNA technology, Oxford University investigates the world's most famous holy relics, including the Shroud of Turin. They believe that if they can find a strand of Jesus' DNA, it could help identify who among us today are descendants of Jesus and provide us with new insight into the man many consider to be the most. And Patrick responds and says, yes, it is a spiritual war on Christ. Save Christianity. And the anonymous post was, this is a great awakening. And Snow White posts, we are in between worlds, an old guard that wants to maintain control, slavery, obligation, and a better world based on dignity, values, honor, and appreciation. Things are quickening. Those not aligned with their purpose are getting the lessons. They need to realign. We have a picture of our beloved president. It says, if Q isn't real, why can't you shut the blank up about it? Donald J. Trump. Oh my goodness. I think this is the most important thing for you to understand. Who posted this? Zimbada Boom. I think this is the most important thing for you to understand. What is happening now is not about politics. Your lives are not about politics and about work and school and other systems bullshit. This stuff is spiritual. We are all spiritual beings, cosmic beings, and we are a part of the universe. And we all should have to search for our origins, for the truth about our lives, about cosmos, about all creation. This truth has been hidden from us for many thousands of years. We forgot who we are and what our skills are, and we forgot that we belong to the universe and we are spirits. We are in flesh, but we are not only this, we all need to remember who we are. This annoying, boring, material, slavery, monetary system is very good illusion, and you should stop connect with its attractions. It's not real. This is not what life's about. We all should ask the questions and never stop. Why is the most important one? It will lead you deep under surface to the essence of everything. You should start to think big, think high. Rise your awareness, rise your mind, and open your heart. Search, dig very deep, allow. And that's where it ends. Oh, and it continues. Worth whatever it takes to get there. In the end, it only the ghosts of the past you leave behind. Okay, so it's Daniel Dowell. As light increases, frequencies change. As light increases, what was once hidden is revealed. Again, the true meaning of apocalypse. This is the apocalypse for the old world order. As more of the public awakens, their control continues to slip. They will fight every step of the way, but they cannot stop what's coming or hide what is being revealed. So ask yourself, what side of history would you like to be on as this final series of the curtains are pulled back one after the other? Do you still wish that somehow Trump will be stopped? You will not get your wish. So if you stand for the freedom of humanity to live in a world that supports their true health and well-being, you might ask to be shown the actual truth hidden behind all those curtains. And then you have a warning symbol. There was an update that was posted, and it was posted by Holly Celiano. So that's all I know. I don't have a link. I just have this that came on our chat room. Update. Trump affirms his commitment to withdraw the international coalition. Al-Kazemi is a man who gets along very well with him. 20th August 2020. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed on Thursday his commitment to a rapid exit of the international coalition forces from Iraq, indicating that he is in harmony with the Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazemi. The official Iraqi news agency, INA, stated that al-Kazemi succeeded in leading the strategic dialogue to obtain an American withdrawal from Iraq, explaining the Iraqi and American sides emphasize the need to respect the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Iraq. She added that the Iraq and American sides have agreed to form a special team to discuss the mechanisms and timing of the redeployment of the international coalition forces led by the United States of America outside Iraq, and quoted statements by the U.S. President Trump as saying, "We withdrew dramatically from Iraq and very few soldiers remained," adding that al-Kazemi is a man who gets along very well with him, and Trump affirmed his commitment to the rapid exit of the international coalition forces over a period of 3 years, and continued conscience that Washington confirmed its support for al-Kazemi's plans to reform the Iraqi economy, noting that Baghdad and Washington signed a memorandum of understanding to support the health sector in Iraq. This is very big news, and it's a big deal. And let me go over the procedures again on the RV, as there is still a lot of confusion. We are waiting on the release of Tier 2. Tier 2 starts everything. This is the kickoff. So when I say release, it's Tier 2. Then Tier 3 will begin, then for A and B. And when I say release, it does not mean 4B is released. It means Tier 2 that starts everything has been released. That was to happen last night. I do not get notifications till tonight. All the news I'm hearing is very good. Iraq was a key piece in the completion of the process. Let's continue our 11 a.m. and p.m. meditation. See the RV and all its tiers released and completed. See abundance flood the planet. Do what you must do for today. Stay strong and keep the faith, and may God bless each and every one of you. Holly Celiano. This was posted from the Bias News. Vice President Mike Pence on QAnon. I don't know anything about QAnon, and I dismiss it out of hand. So let's listen.
Of the conspiracy theory, the reason it's important to get on the record about it is because it's an easy thing for us to come together and say, of course that is not happening. But I'm not hearing you say that. You're actually adding oxygen to this conspiracy theory, this unbelievably outlandish point of view. Come on. Tell me it's not true and the president doesn't believe it.
I don't know anything about that conspiracy theory. I don't know anything about QAnon, and I dismiss it out of hand.
point of the conspiracy theory, the reason it's important to get on the record about it is because it's an easy thing for...
So, Mike is doing the sidestep. Well, he has to do the dance because he's out there up front. He's protecting Trump. That's funny. Oh, this is disgusting here. Democrats, tell me, how is Joe not complicit in Benghazi? Biden knew.
Point doesn't make.
So you think you know the real Donald Trump. Did you know Donald Trump sheltered Jennifer Hudson rent-free after her family was murdered? Donald Trump sued the city of Palm Beach when he bought a segregated club called Mar-a-Lago to open it to Jews and blacks. Did you know that Donald Trump paid to ensure a Mexican-American boy would graduate from college when he saw a news story about his terminally ill mother? Donald Trump dispatched his plane to fly a sick Jewish boy from special care when he heard no airline would accommodate his medical equipment. Donald Trump sent $10,000 to hero bus driver Darnell Barton after seeing a news story about how he saved a woman from jumping off a bridge. And Donald Trump gave the job of constructing Trump Tower to Barbara Rez, making her the first woman in history to build a skyscraper. Actions speak louder than words. Sometimes beneath a rough exterior, there's a heart of gold. Stay with me, deplorables. You'll love how this movie ends. I agree. I'm ready. The more we learn, the more I believe this man is saving America. Not only that, but the world. And if you people can't see that, you're blind, because he's saving the friggin' world. He's already got them. They all succumbed to him. That's what he was doing, traveling around the world when he first came into office. He's a smart cookie. Aww. Loving the babies. This is a side of Trump that the media does not want you to see. You know, he's just one of us. He's no different than us. And he loves his family. And my gosh, they're all brought up so well. I mean, what an achievement. Oh, the babies. Here he is. God bless him. After a long day's work. No pay. And he gets criticized every day. And he gets hate messages. And, you know, that our Lord has really put a thick armor on him. Because no human being would be able to take all that. I'm sorry, but he's taken on the world. Holding up the babies. I don't know why they've always used that as part of ever since I can remember. There he is. Starting out in life. Isn't that beautiful? How adorable. Look. So look at that proud face. This one, I think look, oh my God, look what he's doing. I think that's just accident, but you know me, I pick up on everything. What a beautiful family, right? I remember the good old days when people used to dress up so nicely. This one says, expecting rain. It's okay. They are not really censoring Q, for they're bringing more attention to it and waking more people up. People need to be shown gradually. We are actually being invited into the movie. Hashtag QAnon, hashtag QAn, question mark. Side note, in a couple of months, you're going to see QAn and QAnons become the co-stars of the show. Trump and the military are benevolent, and they want us to feel good. They want us to feel whole. There really is nothing to worry about. The next 90 days are going to be the most exciting, thrilling, life-changing time that the world will ever know. You're going to love how this story ends. You are watching a big-budget Hollywood movie play out in real time. Booyah. And this is fun expecting rain. It's a whole chain of thoughts, okay? What Q is doing from online is waking people up from one end. What the mainstream media is now doing is waking people up from the other end. Think how many articles, news shows, specials, websites that you have seen over the last month completely bash and censor Q. It's okay. They are not really, and then they didn't show the rest of that. They are not really. Okay, so they playing a role apparently. This is cute. Not to belittle anybody, but this is from Robert Sherman. It says a golf cart rally in support of Joe Biden has gotten underway here in the Villages. That was by @Robert Sherman TV. Here's one that just popped up. QAnon's beliefs. The deep state officials will soon face mass arrests. Society will undergo great awakening and realize QAnon theory was real all along. Fox News. President Trump on QAnon. I've heard these are people that love our country. Oh, thank you, President Trump. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Boy, do we ever. And do we love each other too. And we're standing together. And we're just waiting for you to drop that Trump card. And Kaylee here is just so wonderful. I just love watching her. I don't know if everybody else does, but I do. She is an amazing woman, and she's smart as a whip, and she's got an answer for everything. And as they're asking that question, she already has an answer that she's going to. Have you noticed that? I do, because I notice a lot of things. I used to notice everybody's face and how they walked and how they dressed. I've always been like that. I don't know why. It doesn't mean anything. It's just that I like to look at detail, I guess. That's why sometimes when you see me and I drive you crazy with my little pointer here and I do little outline. I guess that's just me. Those are just my little idiosyncrasies. Those. The smoke over here in Reno is so bad. And you can't even barely see the casinos. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show today, but I had to share a lot of that because, that's what makes my day, and that's what sends me to different locations. And in the meantime, I'm on my own side doing some digging. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I thank you for helping my friend Kat out. Okay, so that's what I have, so that's all I've got. And that's all I know. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, now this just kind of really irritates me. It says, actor Lori Loughlin sentenced to 2 months in prison for college admissions scandal. This news comes after her husband, fashion designer Mossimo Giannulli, was given a 5-month prison sentence. Each pleaded guilty to paying $500,000 to get their 2 daughters into the University of Southern California in the United States-wide college admissions scandal. Now, if that would have been you or I, we would have been hung already, okay? It's amazing what these people get away with. So 2 months to me is not enough. But boy, did they sure rake in the money with this one, didn't they? Okay, well, that's all I got for you. Love you. See you. Bye.